Hello, welcome back to my channel, A Nourished Life and Home. I'm Amanda. I am a homeschooling mom to 4 children. I am only formally schooling my oldest right now, who is 6. And then I have a kindergarten, a preschool, and a baby. I'm so happy that you are here today. In my last video, I went over our favorite family read-alouds from the last year. I went over some of our curriculum hits and misses. And today I am going to go over a little bit on how I plan our homeschool year. So I hope you find this helpful. Click the like button if you do. Hit subscribe for more homeschooling content. We follow more of a classical Charlotte Mason philosophy in our home. So if that interests you or you love to read great living books, then stick around and I would love to have you here. Okay, so this year I am planning out our second formal year of schooling. Last year we did more of like a gentle ease into first grade, and we will be doing more of a combined first and second grade this year for my daughter. I will go over how I plan that, and then I do a little bit of planning for kindergarten, but not much. Charlotte Mason does not recommend starting formal schooling for children until they're age 6. The development, even though she was 5.5 when we started, she just is so much more ready right now. I can see it. She's ready to narrate. She's eager to learn. She loves reading. The delight is there. So our last year of schooling was more of a year of habit training, a year of learning to pay attention and help around the house, take care of your own responsibilities, that kind of thing. Really find our flow. And I made a ton of notes from the last year, which is really going to help me in planning for this year. What I start with is those notes that I took from last year, and I will share more about my notebook keeping in another video. Last year, I had a new baby. We moved. We had lived with family part of the time. We lived in a trailer for part of the time. So our homeschool kind of had to come with us wherever we went. We spent a ton of time outside, which was so delightful and life-giving. We have pretty much cut out screens in our home, which has also been very, very life-giving and beneficial for me and my children. We love good books, and so we also love Christmas time. So I realized we were not going to stick to our normal school schedule around Christmas time. That just wasn't really realistic for us. So this year I'm adopting more of a year-round schooling schedule system. So that leads me to step 1 of what I do when planning out our homeschool year. So I have our year at a glance. I printed these for free from rcoopernest.com. She has a wonderful blog on Charlotte Mason homeschooling. I really enjoy her blog and Instagram. It is a very rainy day here, so my clouds and light is going to fluctuate most likely. Anyways, so I go through here and I highlight the weeks that we plan to do school. I have not decided yet if we're going to do more of so we have 3 terms, 3 12-week terms. What I did last year, we did 3 11-week terms that just really didn't give us enough time to finish the books that we needed to. So this year I'm doing 12-week terms, with the last week of each term being an exam week. And we are either going to do a 6 weeks on, 1 week off flow, or I'm going to do a 4 weeks on, 1 week off. So we'll have a few weeks off within a term, and then we will do 2 6-week breaks. So what I do is I take these years at a glance and I will highlight those weeks that we plan on doing school. Our life is a little bit different in that my husband's work schedule is not a typical 9 to 5. So I will, I like to adjust our school schedule to fit his schedule. All right. So step 1, I take my year at a glance. I highlight the weeks that we plan on doing school. And then all year round, I keep a Trello board for our homeschool. What Trello is, I'll kind of show you on the screen here, it's just a free program online. They have a free app too, and I have a whole homeschool board. On that board, I have term 1, term 2, term 3, and then I have subjects listed in another category, and then I have resources I would like to check out. So as people mention things to me, as I see something online, I stick the link in that Trello board so that when it comes to my planning time, everything is right there and I don't have shiny object syndrome. I'm not going to buy a bunch of random things and we completely lose our flow during the year because mom saw something new and exciting. So I just keep it all there, and then when I come to this planning time, I'm able to go back and look at what I put in there and see if it's going to fit with what we want to do this year, see which is going to be the best resource for the category, for the subject. Charlotte Mason talks about a wide feast for your children, placing them in a wide room with lots of living ideas and lots of beautiful ideas. But just jumping into this method of homeschooling can be really overwhelming for me to remember all the subjects and remember what I wanted to use for each subject. So Trello really helps me to keep all those together and not lose my flow with my time management, because if I am scrolling on my phone for any reason or on the computer, Trello is just one place that on either the desktop or my phone, I can put that resource there, look at it later, and then decide, is this going to fit with our school year? Is it not? So that's what I did. We used the CMEC this last year, which was really wonderful. I learned so much. I grew in my philosophy of education. And I really think that that is crucial for making good decisions when you're picking a homeschool curriculum and planning for the next year, because you have a vision and a foundation of where you want to go. So that would really be the first step before, so you plan out which weeks you want to do school and then know your philosophy. And if you don't know what that is, I would really take time to a couple weeks even to dive deep into educational philosophy and figure out what direction you want to learn more about, which might be a good fit with your family. So this whole last year I was studying more of Charlotte Mason philosophy, classical educational philosophy, how those two blend really nicely together, and Charlotte Mason is a part of that classical tradition, and then enveloping that into our home. So anyways, so we picked the weeks, we know our philosophy, and then we used the CMEC last year. Absolutely wonderful. I still have a ton of those resources from last year, and we are not paying to participate this year with the new program. I probably will in the future, because they do a really beautiful job of teaching you how to combine subjects with a lot of students, with a lot of forms and grades, and keeping the family together as much as possible, which I find very, very valuable. And the more formal students I have, the more we will lean that way for sure, to simplify our homeschool. And it really is just a beautiful unifying thing for the family. So, but for this year, I'm going to use some of those resources that I did not finish from the CMEC last year. And then I pulled from Ambleside Online, which is a free Charlotte Mason book list and resource that is just wonderful. So we're going to be doing a little bit of Ambleside Year 1, some of the CMEC subjects, and then some of the subjects that I put in my Trello board throughout the year that I just really thought were beautiful, or resources that I thought were beautiful and I wanted to incorporate in our homeschool. So it's really this do-it-yourself. I'm building out the curriculum with the Charlotte Mason philosophy behind it. I will link some of those resources in the description below so that you can check them out as you do your own research. So I printed out the Ambleside Year 1 flow. So they give you a free Excel sheet. And I went through how they recommend or suggest scheduling each of the books. And then I went through and I crossed out the books I know we're not going to be doing for this year. And then I made some notes on what we will be adding this year. So I did that, circled what I wanted, and I am going to use this as some of my guide. The other guide I'm going to be using is these Form 1. So Form 1, if you don't know what that means, is Charlotte Mason speak for grades 1, 2, and 3. So those early elementary grades are considered Form 1. So that is what my child is in right now, is Form 1. And A Delectable Education is another website and podcast that is really helpful, but they have these scheduling cards that tell you, so they're Form 1 scheduling cards. They're very helpful because they have each subject, the recommended amount of time per week and per lesson that Charlotte Mason recommended. And then they have what type of lesson it is. So Charlotte Mason recommends alternating the lessons to give the child a break. So they use one part of their brain. You don't want to completely exhaust it for the whole school morning by putting the same type of lesson back to back. So A Delectable Education has gone through and put what type of lesson it is. So when you're laying out these cards to plan out your school day, you don't put two of the same type of lesson back to back, so that it helps your child to use different parts of their brain, and they come to each subject refreshed and ready to learn. Okay, so then I take these schedule cards. I have them all cut up, laminated and cut up right here. And there is a time, so each one, their size correlates with the time that the lesson is going to take. So this, Charlotte Mason recommends an hour and a half to a 2.5 hour lesson block for a young child of 6 or older. So this is a 2.5 hour lesson block scheduler that these schedule cards fit right along with, so that you can fit them within the time block. So I lay out our whole week that way. I move things around. I see what is going to fit where. The other wonderful thing about these schedule cards is that there is a little dot that shows how involved the parent is going to need to be with that subject. So if a block, in Form 1, you need to be pretty involved, but there's a portion of many lessons where the child can work independently. And I know that when the child is working independently, that is the perfect time for me to work with my kindergartner, to attend to my preschooler, to get something for the baby. So I can schedule accordingly that way, and that is very, very helpful. After I lay that out and I look at what all the subjects that I want to cover are, then I go and pick my resources. So I pick the books that I know we want to cover. I put them all out on I use a Google Sheet for most everything. So I put the subject, I put the book that I have planned for that subject. I write down the supplies that I will need, the price that it's probably going to be, and I try to thrift what I can with thrift books, aid books, local thrift stores, local homeschool thrift stores too, consignment. And then I will color code if it's purchased, if I already own it, or if I ordered it. I also need to make a note on if I received it, because a few things this year I ordered, I clicked, and then when it came time to putting the last pieces together, I realized, oh, I didn't receive that. I reached out to the company. I haven't heard from them. I have to reorder those things, which is annoying, but I know now that next time I plan, I need to make a checkbox for I received this, it is in our school supplies, and we're ready to go. And then I just put some notes on what I plan to do with that. And this helps our budget. And then at the bottom, after I have all the subjects, I will write the supplies that we need. I really try to keep it minimal in our homeschool. We only have one document box full of overflow supplies. So I know once that runs low, I will replace. So that's a little bit about what we do. And then I order the book. It was going to be a good fit after all, was ordering just a couple books at a time and not ordering the next one until I pre-read the other ones. That didn't end up working because I wanted to see the full feast of what we were going to be doing for the first term. So I was only really planning out big the first term. I wanted to see where the overlapping themes were. I wanted to be able to pre-read, to make notes of vocabulary that my child might need to know, those kinds of things. So I did end up ordering all of our books for term 1 at once. Once I received those books, I took this notebook, which I numbered from 1 to 12 3 times. So that I would see this is term 1, term 2, term 3. And then I wrote which readings we were going to do for each week throughout the entire year to see how much we would need to read and which ones we would need to read to finish the book within the year, or if we were going to need another resource, or if we were going to need to spread that resource out through multiple years based on knowing my child, knowing their attention, knowing about how much they would be able to digest and narrate back to me within a lesson. So that is what I did after that. So this is kind of my book spreadsheet. So I see the book, I see the week we're on, and then the reading. The thing with Charlotte Mason lessons in the younger grades is they are short. There is not a single lesson that is more than 20 minutes, and that is supposed to include the child getting out the supplies, doing the lesson, narrating, and putting the supplies away. Whatever doesn't get done in the time needs to move to another time. This way the child learns to pay attention. They learn that we're going to move on very quickly after this, and so I don't need to learn to space out during this lesson. You don't want to cultivate that habit of inattention by having too long of lessons that just exhaust a young child. So Charlotte Mason keeps the lessons really short, which means we all need to pay attention, we all need to be on it, and over time, this just makes for a very efficient, focused homeschool time where you can get a lot done. So I really appreciate that. After I've gone through and I've written out which readings we're going to do, I then made my own spreadsheet like Ambleside has given us for free on their website, which I'll link below. Then I make my own in black and white, and I pencil in all of the readings that I wrote down in my notebook. Charlotte Mason also says, education is a science of relations. And so there are many things that we are going to be learning in our geography readings that overlaps with our natural history, which overlaps with our science that we're going to be doing. And I will share what we are going to be doing next week. So subscribe and stay tuned for that. But I will go in and I will just scribble all over this thing. I'm like, okay, here's the readings. Flip everything around. What are we going to narrate for? What are we going to need a notebook for? And then I will type it out on this sheet and really nicely. So I can just highlight the things that we've done throughout the year, throughout the term. This is just term 1, and I will do this again for term 2 later on in term 1. And then I color code. I color code what is going to go in our Truth, Beauty, Goodness notebook, which is going to be our composer study, our artist study, poems, scripture, our recitations that we have memorized. So then my daughter has a really beautiful book of all of these wonderful, beautiful ideas that we've looked at through her school year. And then I color code what we're going to add to our timeline for history. I color code what we are going to be using for our nature study, so I know topics to pull from for our nature journaling. I color code what we are going to narrate. Pretty much this year we're going to orally narrate everything, so including math. We are just going to work that muscle of narration, myself included. Narrating can be very, very difficult if you've never tried it. I suggest trying it. It gives you some sympathy with your child. But I've been working on that in my own readings, just the art of reading slowly and narrating back so that these beautiful things that we're spending our valuable time on become a part of us and they change us. So it really helps you to evaluate what's worthy of my time, and if it's worthy of my time, I should probably narrate so that it helps to cultivate that virtue in me. Okay, so then I highlight what our math is, and then what we're going to add to our book of words, which is going to be our spelling book this year. I will do another video on that more later. So then after I have my overall spreadsheet of the term, I will put it more into a weekly overview. a weekly overview, and this is more of a block style because I know that we function more with a flow in our day. I have a time, we have a set time to start by 9 a.m. We can start earlier if we finish our other tasks before that, but I know even if those tasks have not gotten done, we're moving on to school at 9 a.m. So at 9, we start with outdoor time. This last year, I tried to just get it done. I'm like, okay, we woke up, we had breakfast, let's just get school done so we can move on with the day. That was not very fruitful with my young children. They had so much energy that we all needed to go outside. So we included a 20-minute time block for us to go outside, for me to teach them sports, for them to just play, jump on the trampoline, get their energy out. And that made for a much more focused, enjoyable school morning. So I stuck it on our timetable. Then we will come in and we do our morning time. So we will have a quiet 15 minutes to sit on the couch and listen to the Bible being read. This is kind of like our sitting in church training. So all the children will just listen. They will read their little Bibles, look at the pictures while we listen to something, and they are quiet and still. Then we move into our morning basket time, and I will do another video on our morning basket. But those are the family subjects that we sit at the couch, we enjoy together. They love reading through them. We sing, we play some games, and that is very enjoyable. So that is my other block. We have our outdoor time block, we have our morning time block, and tea time. So we kind of will break from the couch, move to the table, and if I feel like we need a regroup, we will have a very quick 10-minute tea time where we all enjoy a cup of tea, kind of refresh, everyone goes to the bathroom, we come back to the table ready to go. Then we have our table time, which always includes math, writing, and then we will loop in history, natural history, some geography, some word building, things like that, some natural history. Did I already say that? Yeah. And then we will end our table time with piano. So my daughter knows once we are moving from the table to piano, she is going to get to go play. We're going to get some lunch ready. She'll get to go outside. And then after we're done with lunch, sometimes I will read some of our fairy tales at lunch and some of those subjects that I had a harder time getting to either at morning time or the table. Things like fairy tales, sometimes our history reading. I will just loop those into our bedtime or at the lunch table. I'll read to them. And then when my boys go down for a nap and my baby goes down for a nap, I will read with my daughter. I did just start reading with my kindergarten son too because he is begging me. He's just begging me to teach him to read. So we will just play with letters for 5 minutes. He has little readers that we will bring and maybe read a page, maybe just play with the letters and sounds on the page, and then he goes to bed. So, and then I will do a 10-minute reading lesson with my daughter where she just reads to me, and we will keep doing that this year. Then we have our nap block. We have a mandatory quiet nap time from 1 to 3 every single day. I get to refresh and work on some things. They get to rest their bodies. It is a wonderful staple in our home and helps everybody to go into the afternoon more refreshed. Then we have an afternoon invitation block. So this is something I really want to work on this year, is when my children wake up from nap time, laying out something constructive for them to do at the table or in the living room or outside or wherever that just invites them into something meaningful to do with their time, whether that's clay modeling or paper sloyd, which is like a paper folding origami type art, whether that's brush drawing and watercolor, color pencils, Play-Doh, whatever it is. We have cutout screens in our home for the most part. I would say we're 90% screen free. And so I have found other ways to occupy my children, and young children really need to know and be trained in what is a valuable use of their time. And what I have found is as they build these skills, it really builds confidence in them. So I have a running list of skills that I want to teach our children, and they actually end up preferring those things. They are excited to get to go do that thing that they are working on. So I want to get better about laying out something for them to do in the afternoons to kind of facilitate more of that independent play for the rest of the day. Simply Charlotte Mason also has this free download of more than 200 ideas for productive afternoons that I'm going to be referring to for that afternoon invitation time. This is also a time we might go to a park, something like that. And then afternoon occupations, I can do another video on that another time, but similar to the afternoon invitation, they can take that invitation into their occupations. Or my children pretty much after this last year have ideas of what they want to do with their time. They have skills, they have capabilities, and nobody is ever bored in our home. And then we have our evening block that happens after our dinner time. So we will do our dinner time, our cleanup, and then evening where we do family Bible time. We will do more skill building with Daddy, just different things that we are trying to train in our home, whether that is what do we do when Mommy's on the phone to not interrupt, how do we quickly buckle ourselves, how do we listen the first time, just things like that, things that we are noticing need some work or need some training in our home, and we will make it fun, and we will play a game, and we will do that in the evenings with Daddy. And then we'll sing our hymns, we will do our end of the evening routine and all of that. But this is how I plan that school morning and that school block, and I hope that that was helpful. That really sets the flow for what I do. And then once we start school, I will keep a logbook. I love this download from our Cooper Nest. Again, she has part of her homeschool planner. I just printed off a lot of these pages that she has. You can put the time block, or I can put the child and what they did, and then I will make notes in the corner here or on the side here of what I notice is a consistent pain point, whether that is a certain subject, whether that is the timing of a subject, whether that is the subject being backed with a different subject. Then after a week or a break, when I take a reflection time, I can move things around based on those notes that I took in the logbook, and that is very helpful. So then I'm not constantly moving things that might not actually be that big of an issue. And then I will go, after I've planned out a rough week, a rough term, a rough year, I will print it out. I want to make sure that this is visible, and this will be up on my fridge. Then I take this weekly spread, and you will notice this is just day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And then we have our buffer days, which are just days that we're not necessarily going to be a really focused school time, but it is still an educational time, more of a relaxed day. And then we'll go back into our more focused days. And then our Sundays it was throwing me off to have a Monday through Friday. So we do day 1 through day 4, buffer days, Sundays, and rest days. Anyways, the logbook really helps with figuring out those tweaks in your homeschool. I highly recommend keeping one. All right, I hope that this was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments below if you have something that really helps your organization for your school year, and happy planning. I'll see you next time.